Everyone's screaming about AI stealing jobs, but here's what the media won't tell you. Interest rates have actually killed more jobs than AI has so far. So while tech journalism chased clicks with doom and gloom AI headlines, the real job killer has been sitting right under your nose, actually right past the headlines. High interest rates have been crushing businesses for over 3 years straight, the longest sustained period since 1990s. So why is everyone blaming AI when the Federal Reserve has been the real villain here? And here's the kicker. Companies using AI are actually hiring more people, not firing them, but you have to read past the headlines. I know this is a shocker to some of you that just skim the headlines, but today I'm exposed the truth about AI and the layoffs and the panic and show you that some data points that we're looking at that's going to prove this, and I'm going to dig right into it and show you past the headlines. Let's dive in. Welcome to Startup Hack. I'm Spencer, and here at Startup Hack, we train software developers and build custom software solutions for companies. With a decade of executive leadership as a fractional CTO and 25 years of software development, I've mastered transforming tech teams and products. All right. So the media narrative about AI destroying jobs is completely backwards. While headlines scream about robot overlords, the real data tells us a totally different story. So interest rates have actually been elevated at 4.5% or higher for over 3 years now. That's longer than the most previous cycle since 1990. Now, meanwhile, AI is actually creating more opportunities than it's eliminating, and I'm going to break this down for you today. So to start off, I've been tracking interest rates, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't totally off base here. So I asked AI, surprise, but it actually quoted a ton of sources. So let's kind of dig into what it said here, right? Because I found what it said actually to be really interesting, because I'm actually a big fan of using AI, contrary to what a lot of people think, because this actually helped me and saved me a lot of time doing the research, right? So in 1990s, 8.1 average in the 90s. So interest rates were really high in the 90s. They had some spike years, right? But then since 2000, and what happened around 2000? We have the advent of the internet. This is really when the internet started to take off, and we saw that it really started to drive it, right? It peaked at 7%, but the average was 6.2%. 2006, 2007, the average around 5%. Currently, we're about 4.3%. I think that's a little an interesting low that it's listing here. But the point to look at here that's really interesting is rates dropped during one period, then they elevated for about 2 years, then they gradually rose, right, during the financial crisis from 2004, 2007. But the biggest problem that we're seeing here right here, so the current period, let's just go to the synopsis here, right? If you want to dig into this, you can ask AI yourself. But this is really the big part that I want to hit on right here at the bottom. It says the current period represents about 3+ years of elevated rates from 2022, 2025. And we still aren't, and even the Fed's only talking about just maybe starting to lower this, which approaching or potentially exceeding the duration of the previous high rate periods since 1990. While the absolute level isn't the highest we've seen, the sustained duration at these levels is becoming historically significant. That's my point here, folks. The interest rates haven't sat this high for so long. We've been fighting this stubborn inflation that we haven't seen since the 80s, and it just won't come down. So the Fed is really the biggest problem here now. And I'm not necessarily trying to get into politics on whether you think we should or shouldn't lower interest rates, but I'm just telling you, if you're going to blame something for loss of tech jobs right now, expensive money is going to drive that higher than anything else. And part of the reasons for that is because when money's expensive, development is really expensive. IT work is expensive, right? So you're going to just go into maintenance mode. Now, let's kind of dig into some of the other headlines, because what actually started me onto this path was I saw a headline, surprise here, that IBM was laying off a bunch of people because of AI. So of course, AI was the blame for it. Everybody says AI is, so let's look at this here, because we're going to look at an exact example. IBM replaced hundreds of HR workers with AI, according to its CEO. Okay, first of all, everybody out there, all my protagonists are like screaming, "Hey, you're wrong. AI is going to be taking all of our jobs and it's going to steal our children." And anyways, so when we actually look into it, it's even hard, because even the key takeaways here are like way off. It's Ask HR Agent now automates 94% of HR routine tasks. Okay, let's read past the headlines. I'm not even going very far here, right, folks? Former IBM employees replaced with AI. The company confirmed. On Monday, the CEO confirmed that tech giant has tapped into AI to take over work of several hundred human resources. However, IBM's workforce expanded instead of shrinking. The company used the resources freed up by the layoffs to hire more programmers and salespeople. Wait, what? Our total employment has actually gone up because what AI does is gives us more investment to put into other areas. This is exactly what I've been saying, folks. It's going to bring more jobs. Krishna specified that these other areas include software engineering, marketing or sales, or roles focused on critical thinking where employees face up against other humans as opposed to just doing rote process work. Went on to say automated 94% of simple routine resource tasks. So did they say that do this? Yes. But IBM saw a productivity improvement of $3 billion over the past 2 years by using AI and more than $70 billion. What did they do with that? They dumped it into more jobs, right? So let's jump over here to the Wall Street News, doing the same thing here, right? And they actually reported it. Props to them. Says AI has replaced hundreds of workers, but created new programming and sales jobs. So props to Wall Street Journal here on not just feeding into the FUD, right? And so they have actually expanded quote of the same thing here that I really liked. This is the full quote. While we have done a huge amount of work inside of IBM on leveraging AI and automation on certain enterprise workflows, our total employment has actually gone up. Because what it does is it gives you more investment to put into other areas. Those areas, which include software engineering, sales, and marketing, are where he calls the critical thinking. Now, they didn't say over what time the job, what times the reduction would be happening, et cetera, et cetera. But they're going to continue to go on and say, look, we're going to do more and more and more. If the impact within 3 or 4%, you actually can grip management, right? If the impact more like 10%, then that requires a lot more hard-headed management decisions, right? So he's saying that it's going to be tough on who to know to when to lay off. Now, let's look at here again, another article. Dell anchors AI strategy on moving into higher value work. So as we dig through this, our approach is to accelerate AI adoption so organizations can achieve desired outcomes. Now, everybody is immediately jumping to, there's going to be a mass layoff. Mohinder and his team anchored Dell's strategy on 5 core beliefs. First, AI is all about data quality, right? So they go through this, and I really like what he's saying here. There was one. Okay, talent is also a key element. A great deal of job creation since '96 has been driven by technology, Mohinder says. When spreadsheets came along, human workers stopped doing calculations and moved into financial planning. In the same vein, we're heavily focused on skilling our people internally. We want them to begin using AI to move to higher value work. Okay, folks, this is what I've been talking about here. This is exactly if you read past the headlines, you can get past the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, what I call the FUD, right? And we can see that this isn't just job destruction, it's job evolution. While we see that there has been a drop in software developer roles this year, right? There's also been a 200% increase on AI engineers. When you go look at the skill sets of the 2 job listings, guess what you're going to find? You're going to find that it's software developers who knows how to use AI. Exactly what I've been teaching here on my channel. IBM's approach shows exactly how companies use AI as a tool to free up human potential, not replace it. The real story isn't AI replacing humans. It's AI augmenting or amplifying human skills, right? I want to jump into this other article here because I thought this was really interesting. And again, an easy way to lose, AI could create 78 million more jobs than it eliminates by 2030, this report says, right? So they released this. This was an article actually back from January. So this isn't even that new, but guys, this isn't changing since January. Okay. And for the female listeners too, when I say guys, I mean everybody. Right. All right. Sorry. I have a bad habit with that. I need to say y'all, but the report's broader analysis paints a far more nuanced picture than CNN's headline suggests. There we go again. CNN calls this headline saying, oh my gosh, we're going to have this reduction in workforce, right? It finds that AI could create 170 million new jobs globally while eliminating 92 million, resulting in a net increase of 78 million jobs by 2030. Half of employers plan to reorient their business to response to AI. 2/3 plan to hire talent with specific AI skills, while 40% is say reducing where AI can automate tasks. Here's the point, folks. They actually need to get more employees to be able to manage these new tools that they're going off of. Now, I'm already hearing a lot of people yelling at me saying, oh, but what about all these layoffs that we're hearing? The sky is falling. I'm constantly hearing about layoffs. Yeah, that's what the headlines want you to do, right? But this is a net gain of 78 million new positions, the exact opposite of the doom and gloom headlines. These aren't just tech jobs either. These are healthcare, education, green energy, and lots of roles are expanding thanks to AI. Technology has been creating more jobs than it's been destroying since the 1960s. Spreadsheets didn't eliminate accountants. They created financial analysts. The key difference is that new jobs require different skills, which is why upskilling has become absolutely critical for people. So if you need to learn how to if you need to learn software development, reach out to us. We've got some great programs where we can actually pay you, especially if you're in Utah and Idaho, to come on and train and become a software developer. Check out startuppack.com/jobs if you're interested in that, and if you're in Utah or Idaho. And if you're in another area, reach out to us because we've got some other great things that we can do to help train you. Now, so history has shown us that every major technology wave creates more opportunities than it eliminates. And AI is following the same pattern. And there's a lot of smart people saying that. I know I hear a lot of people telling me, but this time's different. Okay, right. So there's a lot of different fear out there, and I want to make sure my job here is to try to help us look at a realistic story. I call myself an AI realist. A lot of people say that I'm negative or I'm against AI. No, I'm telling you the opposite. You should absolutely learn how to be using AI. If you're a software developer, I tell my devs all the time, learn how to use AI because AI is not going to replace you, but a developer who knows how to use AI might. Now, I want to dive into another thing here because this is another one that I keep seeing, and everybody's like, but what about the layoffs? So tech sector layoffs have actually slowed down in 2025, and Intel and Microsoft report the largest reductions. Now everybody's like, but that's still layoffs. But let me look at this here. Okay, so nearly halfway into 2025, 137 tech companies have laid off a total of 62,000 employees. Everyone just gets scared by these big numbers. If layoff in tech sector continue the same rate through the year, the total would hit this. This would mark a decline from the 152,000 layoffs tracked in 2024. So we're on track to be a decline. Now, this is the bigger part though. The largest layoff this year was Intel. Surprise. We all know what's been going on with Intel. I've documented it here. I'm not a huge Intel fan because I think it's just been grossly mismanaged for way too many years now. And they revealed that they could be reducing their staff by 20%. This alone is the largest layoff in the whole thing. So if you took Intel's numbers out of this, we would be seeing a major decline in layoffs. Now, you also say that if you took off, it was the first major restructuring, this means layoff at Intel account for more than 1/3 of all the tech layoffs this year. So if you take Intel out of this, which has needed a reduction for years anyways, the next biggest layoff is Microsoft. The tech reduced its workforce. I'll get to the cliff notes here, but basically the short part of that is if you take Microsoft and Intel out of the layoff count, the count cuts down to almost half of what it was in 2024. So everybody who's saying AI is taking jobs, see there's layoffs everywhere, that's just not true. The numbers aren't showing that. So right now, 63% of employers say that skill gaps are the biggest barrier to business transformation, not AI taking jobs. Companies desperately need people who can work with AI tools, not fear them. The real problem isn't too few of jobs. It's too few people with the right skills for the job that exists. So 39% of current skills will become outdated by 2030, but this creates a massive opportunity for those who are willing to adapt. Smart workers are already learning prompt engineering. They're learning AI collaboration and data analysis to stay ahead. So in my years in tech, it's taught me that those who embrace new tools always outperform those who resist them. So we need to definitely be diving in to be learning these new tools. AI is actually going to enable jobs by handling administrative burdens, allowing workers to focus on direct service. The irony is that while everyone fears robots taking over, the fastest growing jobs are fundamentally human. We're seeing a polarization. High skill collaboration work with AI and high touch human service are both the big areas that are growing. Now, investment in generative AI has definitely increased, right? We've seen it eightfold, and if you take ChatGPT out of it, it gets interesting to throw those numbers. But 86% of businesses expect AI to transform their operations by 2030, which means hiring for implementation and management. I was reading about Zapier, who hires every single employee. every employee across the company and gives them an AI specific interview. I'm going to do a video coming up about it because I found it really interesting. And it definitely even poked at some things that even I would probably say, and I build with AI every single day, not just using it as a tool, actually build on top of the LLMs. And as I work with this, like even there was stuff I could probably be, that I definitely could be working better on. So companies that aggressively automate routine tasks often end up hiring more people, not fewer. Automation frees up capital and human resources that get reinvested into growth areas requiring human skills. So just like ATMs didn't eliminate bank tellers, they enabled banks to open more branches and hire more relationship managers. AI handles the boring, repetitive stuff so humans can focus on strategy, creativity, and relationship building. The companies winning with AI aren't the ones replacing humans, they're the ones amplifying human capabilities. So lower income regions are seeing massive job growth as companies leverage AI to expand into new markets. AI democratizes access to sophisticated tools, which is going to enable smaller companies to compete and grow. And I love this. Here at Startup Hack, we use a lot of AI in our tooling, and this allows us to be competitive against a lot of other larger software consulting firms. Developing countries and other lower places are seeing education and infrastructure job booms as AI makes global collaboration easier. So AI is actually reducing geographic inequality by making location less important for many different types of work. So AI tools are lowering the barrier to raising the potential, which is going to historically create massive job growth. It's easier for one person to be able to start a company. When we started Clean Router in 2009, some of the things that are just a given today are things that were some of our hardest hurdles to overcome. New business formation typically drives job creation more than big corporations ever could. So every AI-enabled startup needs human talent for strategy, customer relationships, and creative problem solving. So 85% of employers plan to prioritize workforce upskilling rather than replacement, and that's an investment in human capital. The most successful AI implementations require extensive human training and change management. So companies are spending billions on reskilling programs because human adaptability remains their competitive edge. Now, what are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I love to get the comments. Actually, one of you guys in the comments is one who tipped me onto this thing with IBM, and that sent me down this rabbit hole. But I just really want to make sure everybody's reading past the headlines. I can always tell the people who comment just on the headlines of my title or the title of my videos versus actually listening to the whole thing. Because every time I ask them, have you watched the video? Tell me one thing you disagree with in the video. They actually never respond. So if you disagree, I'd love to have a great discussion. I think you'll see tons of comments down below in my other comments where people are disagreeing, and I just have a great discussion with them. I love to discuss with them. Here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers in our licensed coding boot camps, as well as to build custom software solutions for companies. So reach out because we'd love to help. And here's some great information about some of our awesome services.
Hi, my name is Spencer Thomason, and I'm a fractional CTO. With over a decade of executive leadership and a solid 25 years in software development, I've mastered the art of transforming technology teams and products. So what is a fractional CTO? This is where you can contract someone like myself to come into your organization and get the benefits of a seasoned CTO without having to employ me full time. In today's fast-paced world, efficiency, security, and product scaling aren't just goals, they're necessities. My passion is building impactful products and enhancing organizational efficiencies through technology. From startups to small businesses, my approach leverages lean methodologies to not just meet but exceed your strategic goals. Whether it's through executive mentoring, cloud system architecture, or launching a minimum viable product swiftly, my aim is to make a significant impact right from the start. Recognized in the Arizona startup ecosystem, my journey has been about creating value and fostering innovation. I have led technology for companies like GoDaddy, SRP, and Wells Fargo and turned challenges into milestones. I've taken this learning and launched 7 of my own brands, and now I want to help you. So if you're looking for a fractional CTO who brings a wealth of experience, strategic vision, and a proven track record, let's connect. Together we can build technology that not only drives your business forward, but also makes a difference. Technology leadership redefined to fit your needs. So reach out today.